everybody. It's Tony George along with Griffin Murphy from DocSports.com, and we are doing the Hoops Happy Hour NBA style here on a Tuesday. Griff, how you doing, buddy?
I'm feeling good, Tony. Another beautiful day in Las Vegas. A little busy schedule today, but high volume as far as the plays. I'm looking forward to tonight's matchups. How about yourself, brother?
Well, interesting dichotomy that you say it's a beautiful day in Las Vegas wearing a Knights hat when they got their ass kicked last night.
Dude, don't even remind me. Brutal. It was a good game. It wasn't horrible. They outshot them the entire game. They just couldn't execute on finishing. It was a good game, though. I had Vegas last night on that plus 105, so I did eat up a little bit of a loss last night. Brutal.
It was one of those deals, and I had a late afternoon libation with one of our colleagues, Scott Spreitzer, yesterday, and over at Red Rock, and we were talking about that game, and I knew he was on Vegas too, and I wanted to take him. I couldn't understand that line. They should have been a minus 150 favorite in that game, and when I saw them at minus 110 and they end up flipping to an underdog, it went against what I thought was going to happen, because you could make 1,000 cases for Vegas and about 2 for Dallas, especially the way Vegas has owned them the last year, including last year's playoffs. They swept them in the regular season. They go down to Dallas. They hand them their ball sack, and then they come up here to the Fortress, which is one of the strongest home ices, in the league, and they just can't close it. I'm shocked that 0-2 here at home, at the Fortress. So that's interesting. We're going to get to the NBA here, but I got to tell you, I had a bad beat on Sunday in the NHL. I got a top play today, which is why, self-promotion, selfish SOB right now. But yeah, I got a top pick tonight in the NHL on a 2-pack. But on Sunday, I had the Predators. I had Nashville. 2.5 minutes left. They're up 2 goals and they lose. Unbelievable.
I watched it live, man.
I'm having a string of bad beats last night. A 6-unit play on Kristaps Porzingis, over 15.5 points. He's got 7 in the first quarter. He's rolling. Miami giving up the mid-range jumpers like they're freaking stupid. And then he goes down with an Achilles tear / calf injury and gets carted off to the locker room, never to return. And there I am with a player prop on him. Come on.
Dude, that's the one thing about player props, man. No matter how good they start, until they finish and execute that game, you are absolutely in shambles. And how much have we talked about Porzingis all season long? If this guy can stay healthy, how good this Boston team could be throughout playoffs. Here we go again. Porzingis out again. It's detrimental to this team, but I have to say, the way Tatum and Brown are rolling together, hopefully it doesn't detriment their playoff hopes throughout the rest of the course of playoffs, Tony. But that's just another bad beat, man. Another bad beat.
I think when he's on his A game, and they're gonna be playing either, who are they gonna play? New York. I don't know who the next round is, but
it's either the Cavs or the Magic they got.
Yeah, so they're gonna be able to get through that series without him. These calf injuries, they said today it was a calf. Now, he left the arena in a walking boot. I'm still pissed about it, because that was a big bet personally I had. I knew he was going to eclipse that. They just been giving up in the paint. Yeah. And I just, he had 7 points in the first quarter, and he was going to play for the majority of the game. And oh, man. But anyway, when he's on his game, and we've talked about it on this show, Boston could be the best team in the NBA, bar none. Or they can be the worst team in the NBA, just depending on what day it is, and there's no gray area in between. And they're poorly coached. To let Miami, with their injury list, beat them even one time in this series, especially at home, is just shameful, because Miami is not the same Miami team no matter how good of a head coach Eric Spoelstra is, there's just too many pieces to the puzzle missing on the injury list for them. But you got to be concerned. Porzingis, his entire career, is a chronic injury-riddled dude. You can only expect him about 40 games out of the year. Now, the nice thing for Boston is that Al Horford comes in and does a nice job. It's not
That was
like
my player
he's
prop.
right. It's not like he's a POS. The guy can ball, but I think that with Boston, especially with Tatum and Brown and even White now, here's the thing.
Yeah.
The sum of all parts is greater than one player for them because they have so much talent and depth. They don't know how to coach it. They don't know what to do with it a lot of the time. But when they're all rolling, they're the best team in the NBA, and they definitely can take down Denver or Minnesota. But it's going to be interesting to see how that injury progresses. I think Boston against either Cleveland or Orlando, that's a very winnable series for them. If they end up with, it depends on the Philly, New York thing. But, Boston right now, minus 225 to win the East. These are current odds today on the Eastern Conference. Boston minus 225, New York plus 350. Indy Pacers plus 100, Cleveland plus 1,800, the 76ers plus 2,500. So let's take Boston out of the mix, minus 225, Griff. The next closest is New York or Indy. And by the way, New York has not put away Philly yet, which is an interesting game tonight. I put out a free play on the over in that game because it was down to 203. On video right here on this YouTube channel. I like elimination games going over if the total's less than 210. Because everybody's pulling out all the stops. The one team wants to win, so they can rest. The same thing in the NHL or anything. In terms of a team, you've got games tonight where if the team wins, they can rest and wait for the other series to play out. And rest right now at this time of year is key. But I think that total is a little bit too low. But Brunson went off for 47 in the last game, dude. The guy's a rock star, man. And of course, Philly, the last time they were in New York, they were up 6 with 2 minutes left, ended up losing that game. And that's when Embiid was playing on one leg. I mean, he was literally limping down the floor. He couldn't rebound. He couldn't jump. He couldn't cover off the dribble because he was so hobbled. And somehow he's still playing ball. That's going to be a hell of a game tonight, Griff.
Yeah, Tony, I actually put a free play out on this matchup as well going out for tonight. And I've got to say, Jalen Brunson has just completely taken over the helm. As you mentioned, he dropped 47 points in his last game. This New York Knicks team is steamrolling. They went into playoffs on a 5-game win streak. Now they're 8-1 in their last 9 games. And Josh Hart has been the X factor for this New York Knicks team. He has been all over the court regarding rebounds, regarding points, putting up numbers. And again, now you're back in New York. New York this season went 27-14 at home. Philadelphia, on the other hand, they are heavily relying on Tyrese Maxey to get the job done. And he's doing everything and then some. The guy is one of the top offensive leaders right now when it comes to points per game in postseason. I want to say he's averaging 31 points per game or 33 points per game. He's doing everything he absolutely can. The problem is they got thrown in the hell of mix. They got thrown in where Embiid got thrown into fire. He's all banged up. You're playing in the playoff atmosphere where there's no chemistry. You needed Embiid at least in 5 to 10 games rolling into postseason before it actually started, where you could actually look at this team and say, all right, they're at full potential, full capability to actually execute in this game. This New York Knicks team is out coaching them. They're out rebounding them. And then you have Jalen Brunson just taking the ball up and down the court on pace. Philadelphia, without a full go healthy Embiid, I just don't think they have enough depth. They're relying too much on Harris, Kyle Lowry, Lowry, guys that just aren't big enough players to make that big-time play in that big-time moment. I just don't like where Philly's sitting right now. Their backs are against the wall. They're down 3-1. They're on the road tonight against a team that's hotter than all hell. I just don't know how they're going to pull off this game. I think this series ends tonight, Tony.
Yeah, I think New York gets the win. I'm not going to lay 4.5 or 5. That'll be up to 5.5 by tip-off.
Sure.
Philadelphia did have 4 players in double-digit scoring last game. The X factor, is they're so top-heavy with Maxey and Embiid, and Kyle Lowry is just a shell of himself. He was 1 for 7 the other night. The guy can't get double-digit points to save his life anymore. And we're talking about a really good player, for a long time. But, the career dissipation light is definitely on for him.
Sure.
That's for sure. Now, for those of you that follow DocSports.com, and if you don't, you should, the Magic are playing the Cavaliers tonight. And off the air, Griffin and I were discussing this game, and we both have premium plays on this game, and we're both on opposite sides. So we're going to leave that one alone. So if you trust Griff, you trust young Skywalker, go bang his pick. If you trust old Yoda here, go bang my pick. Pull it up that NHL pick I got and go from there. Now, also today, I've got a doubleheader actually, and I've got the Pacers and Bucks game as well. I have a total in that, but so we can talk about that real quick. Pacers laying 4 on the road. Bucks are all beat up. Boy, I tell you, last couple of games, I think Pacers are the better team. Without the Greek Freak, they're just, it's like the 49ers playing without Montana, the Chiefs without Mahomes.
I like it.
They got one arm tied behind their back here, Griff. I know they're at home, but
that's about all they have going for them right now, Tony. And that's why the line is kind of pinpoint the way it is. This was a game for me that I just completely laid off as far as putting anything at it, just because of the fact 4.5 points. You have to remember, this Milwaukee Bucks team went, I want to say 31-11 at home this season. Granted, that was with Damian Lillard and Giannis, but both of them right now are ruled as game time decisions, and I doubt that we'll see either of the two in tonight's matchup. This team is relying on Chris Middleton to carry the load. I get it, you're at home, and this is where you play your best basketball, but you have to remember, you are dealing with Miles Turner, Haliburton, and Pascal Siakam. Siakam is playing better basketball than I've ever seen him play his entire life. He's all over offensively. He's leading, averaging 30 points per game on the offensive side. He's cleaning up boards. He's swinging the ball out on assists. Their tempo is what's going to kill Milwaukee in tonight's matchup. If you have Damian Lillard and Giannis, maybe. But you have to remember, Indiana finished the season number 1 in pace of play and number 1 in offensive points per game. Well, now you're dealing with a team who's all banged up. They've failed on the defensive side all season long with their 2 star players. Now they don't have them tonight. I don't see this team in any way, shape, or form having enough depth to actually be able to cover this team. And the way that Miles Turner has really put the load on for this team, consistently showing out, putting double digits up on the points board every single game throughout postseason, I just don't see how Milwaukee's going to hang in this game. The line, on the other hand, Tony, has me really shaky. It looks like a trap bet. Why is it only 4.5 points? Because in my eyes, the way I look at this game, Haliburton, Turner, and Siakam are playing ridiculous basketball, and Milwaukee has nobody going out tonight. They're relying on Middleton. Why is it 4.5 points? Because they have 11 losses at home this season? That can't be enough. I have to be missing something. But if I was to have a play on this game, Tony, I would definitely lay the points with the Pacers. I just don't see how this Milwaukee Bucks team is going to hang with them tonight. They had no answers.
That's my official happy hour play. I am going to play the Pacers. The reason that line's not bigger is because Halliburton's listed as questionable. He's been having trouble with back spasms. and
Mhm.
he was having them this morning. I read something from a beat sports writer. So they've got all kinds of pills and potions and ultrasounds and all kinds of stuff for these guys, these
You're
trainers.
mixing it
So
up.
yeah, they might see that. Switching gears, let's talk about this Western Conference. Now we've got one series round two set. You've got Denver coming off a very tight, close win last night against the Lakers, who gave it all they had. You
Yeah.
know, Denver, in my opinion, had not played well in that series. I didn't think they needed to, outside of an aging James and Davis. Really, the Lakers just don't have much, and they're
Mhm.
poorly coached. Um, Minnesota, on the other hand, Denver, on the other hand, they have the pedigree. They're returning champions. They got the best player in the league in the Joker. Murray's kicking in. Porter's kicking in. They got guys that kick in. They got good role players. They're extremely well coached. They have that altitude advantage up there.
Always.
And they are minus 190 to win the series versus Minnesota plus 165. And Denver's still at a plus number. If you want to bet futures to win the West, Denver's still plus 100, and they were a minus, so they've dropped a little bit. Mini plus 350, OKC, who's advanced, plus 360. You got Dallas plus 650, Clippers plus 1800. And that series we'll talk about that game tomorrow night. Dallas 2.5-point favorite at LA tomorrow night, total 209.
Yeah.
But I was impressed with Minnesota on a lot of levels against Phoenix. I was a little concerned when Phoenix went in there the last game of the season and just beat them like a redheaded stepchild, made them look stupid. And then they had to start the series. And I was
Yeah.
really worried about that. But, the one big key in that series is Minnesota out-rebounded Phoenix 13 rebounds a game. And when it comes down to the postseason, it comes down to March Madness, even in regular season as well. The team that wins the rebounding war usually wins the game if they got any bigs at all. And I just thought, I think that Minnesota, if you look at this, if anybody could upset them, it'd be Minnesota, in my opinion. If anybody can beat them, and bear in mind that all the games that they played the Lakers in, Lakers were up by at least 9 at one point during any one of those games and couldn't put them away, and poor coaching. But Minnesota being up by 9 with their arsenal, Griff, if a guy wanted to take a flyer at plus 165, I wouldn't blame you, because T-Wolves, this might go 7-game
Tony,
series.
Yeah, I am not against it at all. If we were talking back before playoffs started, I would have had Denver all day. But coming in and looking at the way that this Timberwolves team just absolutely annihilated the Suns, and you said it yourself, it was rebounds. It was Rudy Gobert. This guy is leading postseason right now when it comes to rebounds. They are cleaning up offensively. They are cleaning up on second chances, and they are cleaning up on breaks. Anthony Edwards is playing out of his mind basketball right now. This entire Timberwolves team is playing with that playoff atmosphere. Vegas Golden Knights last season, they won the Stanley Cup going 16-6 in postseason. This is that momentum that teams take on, and right now the Timberwolves are playing like it. Denver, on the other hand, we can look at this with the altitude as a huge advantage, especially considering the fact round one, they play the Lakers. That's one of the most veteran teams that you're going to play in all postseason, and you have to rely on two very old players, which is LeBron James, who's very old, and then you have Anthony Davis. That altitude most definitely got to them, and it showed for going into second half. As you mentioned, they were leading and then blew the lead. In this situation, you have a bunch of young cats with the Timberwolves right now who are on a 4-game tear, who are playing outstanding basketball. They're out rebounding. They're doing everything right as a team. And we know when it comes to this Denver Nuggets team, we know what to expect. We know Joker's going to go off. We know they've been here before. Murray's playing out of his mind. Michael Porter's cleaning up rebounds. This is going to be a hell of a series, Tony. Like mentioning before, prior to postseason, if this was the setup that you were going to tell me we were going to have, I would have taken Nuggets all day. Right now, given the fact that Minnesota is a plus value team in this situation, I have no issue sprinkling a little juice on the Timberwolves in this game. And I would not be surprised, or in this series, and I would not be surprised if they do take this. They are young, they're athletic, and they're good enough shape to take this team out at their own home court, as good as Denver does play at home. Tony, I have to be real with you. I like the Timberwolves here, man. I really do.
Well, let's go back 3 weeks to the Hoops Happy Hour show. I told everybody I didn't like Denver this year, and I thought the T-Wolves were going to be the team.
I thought you were crazy. I thought you were crazy.
Well, yeah, and you were sprinkling on the Thunder, which they got through theirs, but I said if Denver's not going to win it, I didn't see him winning back to back. And it's interesting because they were outplayed in a lot of those games against the Lakers. They were outplayed in a lot of those games. And the difference between Denver and LA is the pedigree. Denver knows how to close games. They figured out a way to win when they weren't at their best. That's what makes them so dangerous. And if you let them hang around, especially when they're at home, and you don't keep your foot on their throat, they'll come back and beat you. But I'll be interested. I haven't seen the opening line, but I'll be very interested if they're laying over 6 in any game against Minnesota. I'm going to be having some interest in the T-Wolves there, and I think they're going to be stronger inside, even with Jokic in there. Jokic is a rebounding machine, have no doubt about it. He's the best assist big man probably in the history of the NBA. He had 20 boards last night. I mean, the guy just he's out of his mind around the rim, but Minnesota really attacks the rim, and teams like that do give Denver problems, when they're challenged. And, it'll be, I'm going to be game one. I may want to sit back, but the way they dominate, Booker and Durant are no freaking joke. Beal either. Those guys are freaking studs, and they made them look like butt clowns in that series, man. I mean, it was bad how well they played, Griff. Yeah.
I hear you, man. I mean, it's all pretty much been said there, Tony. This is one of those situations for me. I'd like to watch 1 to maybe 2 games in this set and kind of see how these teams offensively and defensively compare to each other, because this could be one of those situations where this either goes back and forth, or if this Minnesota team gets knocked out of their shoes regarding that, like I mentioned, they have that playoff mojo going right now where they are absolutely steamrolling. But all it takes is one bad beat, and all of a sudden your entire mentality changes. And that's where I could see 6.5, 7 points on a point spread come in, maybe if Denver's up 2-0 in the series. But within 2 games of the set, if you're going to give me more than that rolling into this, I'm going to grab the Timberwolves on that. I would like them at least in that aspect, Tony.
Sprinkle some money line on them in this series. Why not? And if they do, you can get them to win the West at plus 350, because I don't think anybody else is going to go through them. Bottom line, well, maybe we'll talk about it. Yeah, I know you're sprinkling OKC in there too. I think their youth will catch up to them sooner or later. Although Alexander Williams, what a dynamic duo those two are, man. They are. Even Gilgeous Alexander is a top 3 player in the NBA. And, after that first game, I noticed about them, that first game, they had first game jitters. They won it by 2, but they had some jitters. They're young. The playoffs are a different animal. But once they got that under their belt, they just went off. And that's going to
Dude.
be, they're dangerous, man, because they don't care. They'll pull up and fire from anywhere.
That's the danger. The most thing about them, dude, is they're just like the Pacers as far as their pace of play, but they're better defensively, and they're a much better team at home and on the road. They're doing everything right. I mean, they just cleaned up the Pelicans. Pelicans are a better road team than they are home team, and the Thunder really did make them look stupid. They blew them out. I rode OKC all 4 games of the set, cleaned up all 4 games of the set. OKC's really playing good basketball right now and going back again to Shai Alexander. How do you stop this guy? He's averaging over 30 points a game offensively in postseason, and they are cleaning up with Wallace, Giddey, Holmgren. They really just look outstanding. And whether it's Los Angeles or Dallas in the second round, I think that's where it ends for one of those 2 teams. I don't see either Dallas or the Clippers taking them down. OKC's playing with fire right now. I get that they are a younger team, so that could catch up to them. But right now, they're also playing with that Minnesota Timberwolves playoff mentality, which I love to see. I love the 4-0 sweep, man. I loved it. I wanted to see them come in and play good basketball. It's exactly what they did, Tony.
I laid 5 in that game last night like you did.
Me too. Mm-hmm.
If you'd have told me in the morning before I released that pick that they were only going to score 97 points, I wouldn't have laid the 5. Because but hey, I'll take it. I'll take it any way I can get it. And I was one guy on their team. One guy on their team I was wrong about. I didn't think coming out of Gonzaga that Holmgren was going to be all that. I thought he was too frail looking to be a big in the NBA. He has done nothing but impress, dude. And he's got a 3-point shot. He's got kind of that Joel Embiid, I'll pull up the 3 and hammer. And he did a lot in college. I didn't think he'd try it in the NBA, but that's a really good team. Quickly, folks, be sure and get over to DocSports.com. Take advantage of the free $60. You see the link right here on the screen. We'll park $60 in any new account. Use it anywhere on the website. Get yourself hooked up. No strings, no obligation. Comes with a profit guarantee. I am on a 5-1 run right now. My last 6 cards in the NBA and plays in general. And really kind of dialed in. Going to have a good night tonight. And, of course, Griff, I don't know. I haven't been paying attention to what you've been doing, dude. I haven't talked to you in like a week, man. How you doing?
I know, man. I've been all over the map. I will say, though, we are rolling finally in MLB. I'm on a 10-4 run in my last 14 picks. Tonight, I have a top play. I have a 7-unit play. Goes off, I want to say, 8:40 p.m. Eastern time. That's a plus value play, which I absolutely love. It looks like a complete sucker bet. Rolling right now in baseball. I'm coming off a 2-0 sweep yesterday in NBA. I laid it with Boston last night as well as with OKC. So I have a small play across NBA tonight. And then in hockey, I was steamrolling 6-1 in playoffs yesterday. I took that beat with the Vegas Golden Knights on a top play. So I am 6-2 across my NHL pick. So I have one play going out as far as NHL tonight. So baseball, top play, props as well. 11-4 in my last 15 plays, rated 6 units or higher. I had 2 prop plays yesterday. I had Horford, points and rebounds, and I also had somebody else. I cleaned up a 2-0 day in my props yesterday, so I'm coming back tonight. I have a top play across my props. Massive volume day for me today, Tony, so I'm real excited for the nighttime. Get these games rolling. I'm going to be watching games, whether it's on my couch in my living room or at Circus Sports. One of the two, I'll be there, brother.
Yeah, I'm resting up. I'm headed to Kansas City tomorrow. Otherwise, I'd join you down at Circa for some NBA action and catch a little bit of your baseball game. But headed down to KC. Going to go to the NASCAR race on Sunday.
Oh there you go.
Yeah, rolling in NASCAR, still rolling. Pardon me. We talked about this 3 weeks ago when these playoffs started on Hoops Happy Hour. There's more than one way to skin a cat in the NBA, and the prop market is fruitful. I'm 10-4. I've had 2 losses in the postseason so far in the NBA, and one of them was Porzingis going out with a torn calf muscle last night. Otherwise, I'd have cashed that one. I'm just cherry pick them. I just cherry pick them. 1 4-unit pick a day. Sometimes I'll do double headers. Prop cards are $25. As I like to say, and I'll switch restaurants. You can't go through Wendy's drive-through 2 people for $25. And you're unsatisfied, you end up getting fat. And the meal does not last 2.5 hours. A prop bet does. And then when you get done with a prop bet, you can go through Wendy's drive-through 50 times on the house. So get over and get yourself some prop bets. Quickly tomorrow, are you going to be shy about laying 13.5 with Boston tomorrow at home against Miami? My goodness, that number's huge. I think they got him. Miami's just too beat up, dude.
That's the thing, man. You're relying on guys like Tyler Hero to really carry the load. You got Bam. How are you supposed to stop this Boston team? That all season long, they've been dynamite. All postseason long, they've had one slip-up game. They've covered the spread, I want to say, 3 of the 4 games this far already. And 2 of the games, I want to say, have both been double digits. I just think Boston's going to completely roll over them. They are so deep on every aspect of the game. They're starting 5, even with Porzingis out right now. You still got the Tatum and Brown mix. You've still got the veteran with Al Horford banging from the arc, cleaning up rebounds, their second chances. They're doing everything right. They had one bad game, which wasn't expected. I was expecting I had a futures bet on them to clean it up 4-0 on a -110 line. So I did lose that ticket, ripped it up, not happy about it. But how does Miami, how are you supposed to beat them without Jimmy Buckets? You just can't. Even with Jimmy B, you're sitting there terrified the entire series. Like, how are we going to win this game? Yeah, I think they're going to absolutely roll them by 13.5. Am I going to have a play on that tomorrow? It might be too many points for me, but if I don't, I will definitely put a free play out on it, whether it's a total or a side. I have to do a little more in-depth research on this game, Tony.
Yeah, I think the prop market will be fruitful there. You want to take a look at White. You want to take a look at Horford and some of their numbers, points, rebounds, or points, rebounds, assists. I'd stick more with the points and rebounds with Horford and probably the points with White. If the number is reasonable, it's going to be interesting to see what the odds makers adjustment are on the numbers on Horford now that Porzingis is definitely out. So if there's an under adjustment, booyah! I'll be pounding it. Trust me, folks. And very quickly, this Dallas LA Clippers series. Let's not go to sleep on Dallas in the West. We've been talking a lot about it, but Dallas 2.5-point favorite at the Clips tomorrow night. I don't know about that one. I don't see a lot of the totals 209. Griff, do you have any opening thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I do, Tony. And the biggest thing is Luka is doing just about everything he can do, but we've seen him play better. On the other hand, Kyrie Irving has been the absolute heart and soul of this team. What a move they made, snagging this guy and really putting him in that postseason position. He's putting up numbers. He's swinging the ball all over the place. He has been the X factor for this Dallas team in postseason. But you look at the way the Clippers are playing right now, and Dallas has to do one thing. Well, we've seen what James Harden is capable of doing. I think he's one of 5 guys who's done it over 5 times in his career, has put up more than 50 points in a game. He is banging from the perimeter on all aspects. Last game, by second half, this Clippers team was hitting 65% from the perimeter. How are you supposed to beat a team who does that? You know how the second half shifted? They shut down PG-13 on the defensive side. He had over 20 points, and that was what slowed down this Clippers team. So for Dallas to end up taking this series, they have to step up on all aspects of the game. They cannot rely just on Luka and Kyrie to do it all. They need other guys to step up, and they need to stop Paul George, because when Paul George plays bad, the Clippers play bad. But when he goes off, they go off. He is going to be the deciding factor for me in this matchup, Tony. I think Zubac's playing real good basketball. I think it's been nice with Kawhi Leonard being out. I think it's kind of thrown Dallas off their game plan. Not enough film, not really enough way to kind of read how they're going to perform this offense and defensive output. It's kind of thrown them off their toes a little bit. Plumlee, Zubac of all, has been cleaning up on boards. He's playing real good basketball. The biggest X factor for me, you need to stop Paul George if you're Dallas. If you could stop Paul George, you can win this series. That's where I'm at with this one, Tony.
I was shocked that they beat them in Dallas 116-112 simply because they lost the rebounding
Right, I mean,
battle 42-29 and
mhm.
still won without Kawhi Leonard. I had a big prop play on James Harden over 18 and a half. He's picking up the slack. He had 33. George
Yeah,
had 33. If they got that going on with everybody else kicking in double digits in that starting five, which they had, they're going to be awfully tough to beat at home. And I just saw the line move from 2.5 to 3. You're catching a live dog at home +3. I'm telling you,
yeah.
that's yeah, there might be some value there, folks. You can find all of our stuff over at docsports.com. This will be the last video I'll be doing, any video, till at least Friday. Next time you see me, I'll have a Lake of the Ozarks in the background. Um, Going down there with some buddies, so there'll be some shenanigans
There you
involved,
go.
but I'll still have my eye on the prize. I'm about a 2-hour drive south of Kansas City. Our producer Jeremy, that's he's a Kansas City lover, so when I'm in KC, I'll be eating some BBQ for sure,
There
having
you
some
go.
BBQ. Um, I'm looking forward to getting back there for 5 days, but we'll keep our eye on the price and look forward to this upcoming weekend and some of these series. And we'll do a Hoops Happy Hour show later in the week next week, Griff, where we can talk,
Cool.
maybe Wednesday or Thursday, where we can talk. We're going to know who's playing who at that point. We're going to be knowing
Right.
how that Minnesota series is going. Your Thunder Boys will be off and running somewhere. So it's going to be fun, my friend.
Yeah, Tony, I'm looking forward to the rest of these series, man. I mean, the Timberwolves, Nuggets, I don't rule the Mavericks or Clippers out of this thing. I mean, the entire West looks great. East, on the other hand, it kind of looks like it's a one-way shop. I'm very excited on how this is all going to turn out, man. Looking forward to the weekend. Looking forward to killing the rest of this week. And I hope you have some safe travels back to KC, brother.
Yeah, thanks, brother. And don't forget those prop bets. We got them up each and every day, folks, and we're crushing them. Great way to make. You don't have to worry about the side and the total. You don't have to worry about the sweat. You got to worry about your best bet of the day going down with injury at the end of the first quarter. Damn it! But hey, falls under the category of crap happens. We pick ourselves up and get a winner for you tonight. Be sure and tune in to DocSports.com. Griff, myself, 10 other handicappers there, along with some consensus services, some other things, and some of the best information you're going to find on the internet anywhere pertaining to sports handicapping. It's all free, helps you make better decisions. Be sure and get over there.